Most business owners are trapped in their business, constantly putting out fires, never knowing what to work on first. And if they stop working, the business stops working. That used to be me as well. I was completely overwhelmed and holding everything together with duct tape. But since I built this simple system, I've been able to run my business working as many hours as I want, and I've helped countless 6, 7 and 8-figure business owners do the same. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what it is you need to do to run your 6, 7 or 8-figure business without feeling overwhelmed, so you can scale faster and with freedom. To start, you need to understand why you're feeling overwhelmed in the first place. And the best way to think about this is that your brain has limited bandwidth. So every time you try to hold on to a task, an idea, or something you need to remember, you open a loop in your mind, and each loop consumes energy. When enough of these loops build up, your mental bandwidth gets flooded, which is that feeling of overwhelm. You have too many things running in the background with no real solution to any of them. So our goal here is to close those loops. This way you're not, managing everything in your head, and you free up your mental bandwidth. So here's step 1, and it is bloody crucial because most business owners are drowning in ideas and projects, but with nowhere to manage them in a simple way. What happens is every idea becomes an open loop that is stored in the back of your mind, and both your cognitive load and overwhelm skyrocket. And even if you do have a tool, most of them are so bloated with different views, different filters and steps that they create more chaos than clarity. So the way to close this loop so projects and ideas don't overwhelm you and you have clarity on what's happening now, what's happening later, and who's doing what is to use a simple project management tool. Now, I have one that I give to my clients at selfmastery.co called the Strategic Action Map. I will leave a link to it in the description below if you want to get it for free. You can thank me later. But how it works is you want to list out the projects and ideas in the left-hand column, then list out every individual specific step for completing that project in the next column, then assign due dates for each step, and then the person responsible for each step, which can either be, you or a team member. And the magic here is that everyone can just go into this sheet to see what their next step is and when it's due, and you can see how team members are doing by literally just, looking to see what's checked off and what's not, so you know whereabouts they are. It is so incredibly simple because it also forces you to stay focused because you have to work down the list. So project 2 cannot be started until the last step of project 1 is completed, and that last step can't be started until the step before it is completed. The exceptions here obviously being if you're, for example, doing all of project 1 yourself and someone else is doing all of project 2, well then both projects can be done simultaneously. But there's actually another problem which causes far more overwhelm than projects and ideas, and closing that loop is sort of like Tetris. You know the game where the blocks come down and you have to place them and build them up and wipe the rows? Well, in Tetris, when you drop the blocks randomly without thinking ahead, they stack up fast, nothing fits, and suddenly you're at the top of the screen, you're stressed and you're about to lose. But when you place the blocks intentionally and you're looking at what blocks are coming next and you're planning for that, the blocks fit perfectly and you can play basically forever without actually getting overwhelmed. Well, your week works the exact same way because here's the thing, 90% of the tasks you do each week are recurring, which means instead of just knowing you have to do these things in the back of your mind, which is an open loop, we can structure your week to bring clarity to what you do and when you do it. That way you're not overwhelmed and trying to figure out when you'll do what. Now, to do this, you need to create what we call at selfmastery.co your standard week, where you list all the tasks you do every week. Then you assign each task to a certain day of the week. Now, some tasks will obviously have to happen on a certain day. Like a team meeting might happen on a Monday, that's fine. Some tasks you'll have to do every day, that's fine. Other tasks you'll be able to choose exactly when you do them. Now, there are obviously ways to optimize this and dial in what your focus point for each day of the week is and all that. But for the context of overwhelm, all we really care about is that you know when you're doing what. Like every Monday you do X, Y, and Z. Every Tuesday you do A, B, C, and D. That way, there's no guessing what you're doing tomorrow. You know. But you know what business is like. Even with a structured week, it'll still throw unpredictable things at you that you can never have predicted. And that's where overwhelm sneaks back in, which is actually why you need this third step. So if you look at this graph, the higher the bar, the more time you waste and therefore the more overwhelmed you feel. But the lower the bar, the less time you waste and the less overwhelmed you feel. Now, what if there was a 2-minute habit that would take you from having your time wasted and overwhelmed way up here to way down here? Well, you would do it, right? I've had past clients who were completely overwhelmed. They never had time for anything. But once they started doing this one habit, that all changed. And that habit is actually also how you're going to account for those unpredictable things that business throws at you. And it's planning your day. Now, there is obviously a very specific way you have to plan for this to work, which I will show you, but quite simply, if you don't plan your day, you will make less progress and you will be more overwhelmed, because without a plan, which is basically you saying, I'm going to spend my time in this way because it is the best use of my time for moving toward my goals. Well, without that, you don't have a reason to not give in to chaos. If an urgent fire pops up, you've no reason not to deal with it now, which means you don't get the important things done, which eats at you, which creates open loops, and you feel overwhelmed. But when you do have a plan, you don't have to decide at every moment, what do I do now? When do I do this? So every night, take 5 minutes, go through your standard week, see what tasks you have to do tomorrow, write them down, then go to your strategic action map, see what step you have to do that is due tomorrow or soon, write it down. Then if you have any one-off tasks that you know you need to do tomorrow, write them down as well. Out of all the tasks you've written down, identify your MIT, which is your most important task. That will either be a task from your standard week or the next step of your strategic action. Then schedule your day in order of priority, with your MIT first and any one-off tasks last. And then also what you want to do is you want to schedule some time to deal with fires and problems that come up throughout the day, whether that's at 5 p.m. or 12 p.m. and 5 p.m. The main thing here is that you have all your important stuff scheduled and time to deal with fires that pop up without risking those fires pulling you off schedule, because you have time to deal with them. All of a sudden, you're way less overwhelmed because everything has a set time to be dealt with, and you're not just running those open loops in your mind thinking, oh, I have to do this, when am I going to do it? No, you have decided. But to close the final loop so you don't feel overwhelmed, you need to do something really, really simple, okay? Most business owners have everything in 100 different places. Their tasks are in this software, their team's tasks are in another, projects are managed here, clients are managed there. And that makes it pretty easy to feel overwhelmed because you're creating so many different open loops of things you have to manage and where they're managed and how you manage them. Instead, what you need to do is store everything in one place. Now, is it always possible? No, but 99% of the time it is. And I do not care what software you use, what tool you use. I am software agnostic as long as it is simple, which is why it always shocks my clients, but I always use Google Suite for everything. So Google Sheets, Google Docs, etc., because it is so incredibly simple. And you can do everything you need with it, from task management to project management to calendars to SOPs to everything. As long as you know how to use Google Sheets pretty well or Excel, you can do everything you need in it. Obviously, some people don't like Google Sheets. Maybe it's just because I'm a finance bro that I love them. But you don't have to use Google Suite. Use whatever software or tool you want, as long as it is simple and you know how to use it. The likes of Google Suite might not be as automated as other platforms, but it is so simple. And so it's really a trade-off where if you want more automation, you have to sacrifice a bit of simplicity, and that's typically how these platforms work. The main thing here, though, is that you have all your tasks in one place, all your projects in one place, and that it is simple. Stop worrying about how big a priority something is and having, 12 different high priority levels where you have high priority level 1, high priority level 2, and 18 different filters you have to fill in to manage a bloody task. Screw that, okay? Just have a list of all the things you need to do and work through the list and keep it simple, okay? I know I'm repeating myself here, but keep it simple, okay? Simple. And if you really do not want to feel overwhelmed, you also need to close the open loops around what your team is doing, who is doing what, and when they're doing it. So click this video on screen now, and I'll show you how to redesign your business to run itself.